Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and are we back on the Stranger Things bandwagon? As I said in my Predator video, from the moment I had seen this roadmap back in May at PAX and the November chapter that was slated to be 2 new survivors and a new killer, the moment I saw that, I was convinced that it was going to be Stranger Things, and only recently did I change my tune on that at all, because my friend Jane kept hammering away at me with her evidence that she had with Predator. And really, I didn't have any evidence that would point to Stranger Things other than the timing. Even in the interview that I had done with the King and Mathieu Cote, when he said, go ahead and say it, what you think the next chapter is, I was going to tell him Stranger Things, and that was in October. So I only recently changed my mind because of a lack of evidence. And Mathieu said that whatever the license was something that he had consumed it all. And I knew that Mathieu had recently watched the entire run of Stranger Things over again. He told us that in the interview last year. So it made sense to me that it would be Stranger Things, but those are the only things that I had evidence on. Also, Mathieu had said that when we asked him if we would see any other chapters that would get a sequel, he said stay tuned. So that lined up with Stranger Things as well. And it just seemed like the timing of this all made sense, that Mathieu said that they want to work with partners that have things that are happening. And obviously Stranger Things season 5 is happening, and the date was pushed back. And Dead by Daylight also, the Stranger Things release date was pushed back. Dead by Daylight similarly pushed back their release date, which they said was to fix bugs, but it could also be a happy accident that they're pushing back at the same time that Stranger Things pushed back, so that they take the most advantage of the season being out. And I always said, well, you got this license back, why aren't you doing anything with it? It made the most sense that, you know, if you're going to do something with this license to go further, that now would be the time, right? If not now, then when? Like, it's a now or never situation, that you would want to do another season. And anyway, this was all of my thoughts on Stranger Things that I had. Again, I expressed all of this in the Predator video, but I didn't have any evidence, nothing really pointing to Stranger Things, just very light circumstantial evidence. By the way, you should go back and watch this video of the King's interview if you haven't. It's a good watch. And as I said, up until the moment here, we're talking about the next chapter, and then he tells me, you know, say what you think it is. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to put you on the spot. And he's like, I'll look away. I'll put the dog on camera so that you don't have a reaction from me for whatever you're going to say. And I still didn't say it. I was like, nope, I'm just keeping it to myself. But yeah, even this very moment in October when we did this interview, I was still convinced that it was Stranger Things. He puts the dog on camera so that I can't read his body language when I say, I think it's Stranger Things. And I didn't even go through with it. But you should go watch this video. Let me know if there's anything in here that you pick up on that King and I didn't. So what's changed? Well, it all has to do with the public test build that came out yesterday. And Jane, who was the one who kept running to me about, look at this, I have more evidence that it's Predator. Look at this, I have more evidence that it's Predator. Now Jane came to me and said, look at this, what if it's Stranger Things? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I was the one who, I made this little joke about our private DMs to each other. That I said, this is the timeline. Me, Paulie, what do you think it is? Me, I think it's Stranger Things. Yeah, but Paulie, what if it's Predator? Take a look at this piece of evidence. Nah, it's still Stranger Things. I'm not putting any stock in that thing that you showed me. Okay, but Paulie, what if it's Predator? Now look at this. That's interesting. But yeah, I still think it's Stranger Things. Jane, hey, Paulie, what if it's Predator? Now look at this. Wow, maybe it really is Predator. And then yesterday, hey, Paulie, look at this. What if it's Stranger Things? And I'm like, no way. Now you got me going back where I was before. What the heck? Love you, Jane. So the thing that got Jane excited and sending me these hints that maybe we're back on the Stranger Things bandwagon were the patch notes from the public test build yesterday. This is the build that has all of the tunneling, slugging reduction, camping changes, things like that. But here at the bottom, when it talks about map changes, environments and maps, the underground complex adjusted the underground complex map to improve opportunities for player navigation, adjusted the underground complex map to make sure that at least one door is open on all sides of the larger rooms, and adjusted the underground complex map's rift room where a new access to the generator was added. So Jane said, well, they're working on this map. Do you think that means anything? And it could mean something. Let me show you some of the changes that are being talked about here in the patch notes. So here, DBD Kamigami talks about Hawkins plant room gets a major overhaul. It seems that the changes are coming to the room overgrown with plants in the map, the Hawkins National Laboratory in 9.3 PTB. The stairs will generate on both the left and right sides, and the first floor window frame will be weakened, and boards are added to the second floor, lockers added to the second floor, and the passageways will become wider. And here we'll show you what this video looks like here. It's a larger frame for you to see. And so you can see that there's a ramp up here on the left side of the room. The window, the vault on the glass windows there is more centralized on that wall. You can see there's a pallet up here now. There's lockers up here. A lot of changes. So there's stairs up on either side and 2 access points on the generator, instead of like there was always a dead end and you would be forced to take that vault to get off of that gen. Now you have a little more play in this room, a lot of breaks in the railings. See, that vault is more centralized. It used to be further to the left there. That's a centralized vault now. So a lot of changes to this room in particular. And so people said, well, do you think this means that the next chapter is Stranger Things? I don't think that you can just say that because they decided to change the balance of the map, that in itself has meaning. I will say that it is encouraging. It's the first piece of evidence that I've seen that there is any movement on the Stranger Things license in DBD, and it could possibly lead to a second chapter or skins for existing characters. I'm excited at the prospect of it, but I don't think that this in itself is proof, because Dead by Daylight, I've asked this question to Mathieu Cote in the past, that they, even when they had lost the license for Stranger Things, they still maintained they didn't need approval from Netflix to make balance changes in regards to, say, the Demogorgon, and if they were going to buff the character, change the add-ons, things like that, all kinds of balance changes like that. They didn't need Netflix approval for. Mathieu told me that. So this would be, you know, in that vein, in that they don't need Netflix approval to change this map. However, I will say that it is encouraging to see movement on this. I've played on this map a ton. This has been put into my rotation quite a bit. When I go into matches, I'm getting this a ton. So maybe they were gathering data on it and trying to figure out, you know, what needed to be changed to balance it. And it could indeed indicate that there's more content to come. I sure hope so. This isn't the only room that's changed, but this is the one that has changed most significantly. There's another room upstairs with the cage that's covered with the blue blanket. They've rotated that table and they put a pallet in that room. A few different changes on this map, but this one is the most significant, to be sure. And I've even seen some people say that they've changed the hooks on the map and they look different. So another indicator that they're working on the Hawkins map and Stranger Things license. Nua says here, did they just forget to water my hook? But I'm not sure how much stock I can put into this. It definitely does look different. There is no doubt about that. But when you see that they also posted that their RPD hooks look different too, and that their alien map hooks, the Nostromo hooks, look different too, then, you know, it doesn't look like as solid of a theory that they have changed the hooks on Hawkins so much as something has changed about the hook textures in general. In fact, my friend Das sent me this image of a close-up of the hook on Hawkins where you have this texture wrap all around the hook, and that just does not look right. I think we can all agree on that. So it may be simply that the textures aren't right and not that they've actively changed the hooks. But, you know, it is a point of consideration as well. But that falls apart a little bit more when you start to look at multiple maps with multiple hooks that are different, right? So, but it was an interesting point that Jane also brought to my attention. So, while I am encouraged by them changing this map, and I'm hoping that it does indicate something, I'm not entirely convinced. When I made my video about the devs possibly announcing what the January chapter would be soon, I put up a split screen in my video of Predator and Vecna because I felt like it was going to be one or the other. And I'm still not entirely sure. Maybe we'll find out soon. But I do think that Stranger Things makes the most sense for the timing. I've wanted new Stranger Things content for a while, and while I do absolutely love the Predator franchise, I think that one could wait, and it would make more sense from a business standpoint to wait on Predator, who will always be there, and Stranger Things is much more timely, as you can see. And so I really understand why we haven't gotten anything else Stranger Things, because Stranger Things is no stranger to collaborations that would lead to funds for them. For example, you know, we have the Upside Down Gatorade coming out here. We have the Demogorgon Crunch cereal. We have the Collisions Doritos with the thick Demogorgon black garlic dip. Nerdist talks about 13 different Stranger Things food tie-ins. Some of them I've already mentioned here. And the chip, when I found this when I went looking for the Chips Ahoy one that I knew existed, I did not know about the Totino's pizza rolls. Stranger Things pizzas I was familiar with; those have existed before. But and even KFC, not to be outdone by the Popeyes Freddy Fazbear's meal, has their own KFC Stranger Things meal available until January 4th. The Stranger Things Zinger Burger with the bright red bun. So Netflix is no stranger to, you know, doing collaborative deals to get more money out of their license. So why is Dead by Daylight excluded from that? I don't have any answer for that. Why wouldn't they also similarly expand their brand and the popularity of their license into more content for Dead by Daylight? It doesn't make any sense to me unless it's actually happening. Okay, now when might we find out? Well, when I made this video here, Dead by Daylight new announcement soon, I made it because they had said here in the video, this is Janik, he said that he was working on the new killer, that we would find out who it was very soon. So that made me think, oh, so they might announce what it is early, which I thought they would do on maybe the community stream, which they did not. But when he said soon, I mean, how relative is soon if this is to him, if it's coming out in January? But he told us in this when asked, what could we see for more collaborations? He said he was working on the newest killer that we would see soon coming out in January. So I thought that they perhaps, even though they had delayed the chapter from November to January, that they might, to wet our whistle, tell us what it is early. And I thought, well, what would be a better time to make an announcement if it is Stranger Things than on Stranger Things Day? Now, if you don't know what Stranger Things Day is, Stranger Things Day is tomorrow, November the 6th. And that is the day that Will Byers went missing in the first season of Stranger Things from the calendar pages. So they call that Stranger Things Day, which seems like it would be a good time to announce a Stranger Things chapter for Dead by Daylight. No, I believe this also coincides with the release day for the final season. It's going to be on Stranger Things Day, so even Netflix, you know, recognizes the importance of Stranger Things Day. So tomorrow would seem to be a perfect time to make an announcement, if there is one, of a Stranger Things chapter for Dead by Daylight, even if it isn't coming until January, right? So what do you think about these changes? Does that mean anything to you, or is it just coincidence, them sprucing up a map that needed to be looked at for a long time? Do you put more stock into it than that? I mean, if tomorrow Stranger Things Day comes and goes and we don't get as much as a whimper about a teaser for the next chapter being Stranger Things, it probably is a big hole in the theory that the next chapter is Stranger Things, but who can say for sure? Anyway, let me know what you think about all of this. Do you have a preference, one or the other, Stranger Things or Predator? I'm curious to hear what you all think. Personally, I would love them both. And, I think I would like to make hay while the sun shines on the Stranger Things franchise and save Predator for down the road. But I would welcome them both. But what do you think? I'm always curious to hear what you think. Do you have a preference on one or the other? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.